Hey guys, Dusty here. Today I'll be giving my first impressions review on the Hoka Cielo X1. So I have one run done in the shoe. I just finished a couple of hours ago and it went fantastic. My main set was 20K of work. I'll put the details up on the screen for you. Had no idea what to think about the shoe going into this workout, but gotta say I totally loved it, but more on that in a sec. Let's get started with the stats. So the Cielo X1 has a stack height of 39 in the rear, 32 in the forefoot for a heel to toe drop of 7 millimeters. My men's size 8.5 weighs in at a very hefty 8.4 ounces or 239 grams. And in general, that's not a heavy shoe, but for a carbon plated race day shoe, it's definitely on the heavy end. So this is the Hoka Rocket X2, came out a few months ago, and this shoe comes in a whole ounce lighter than the Cielo X1. And then likewise, this is the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. This shoe, I would probably say it's most similar in feeling to the Cielo X1, and again, this Mizuno comes in a whole ounce lighter. So honestly, I think if Hoka could have made this shoe, or future versions of this shoe, a little bit more competitive in the weight department, I think this shoe would be a total home run for Hoka. Regardless, once you get the shoe on your foot, it definitely doesn't feel like a heavy shoe, but I just wanted to make a point that it is heavy in the weight department. The Cielo one does fit true to size, and I gotta say the lockdown on the shoe is probably the best I've ever experienced in a racing shoe. The upper is really unique. It's like a knit material. I'm sure it breathes just fine in hotter temps, but I haven't been able to test that yet. It does feel quite durable, and one note to make is this shoe is incredibly hard to initially put on. I kind of wish Hoka had added a heel tab in the back. But regardless, once you do get the shoe on your foot, the lockdown is incredible. It's probably not suited for someone who has a wider foot. The width would definitely favor an average to narrow type foot. Another thing to mention, not a huge fan of these laces. I don't know what Hoka was thinking with these laces. You're definitely going to have to double knot them or else they'll come undone. But to be honest, they just kind of feel cheap. Pretty interesting tongue. Again, very thin, just like almost all the tongues on the market these days. It is fully gusseted, but I didn't have any issues with it. Interesting enough, this shoe does have a removable insole. However, this isn't the type of shoe that you're going to want to replace with your own orthotic. Now we move along to the midsole. Just like the Hoka Rocket X2, you're getting a full slab of PIBA midsole. I believe they're using two different types, including a softer type on the top and then a slightly firmer PIBA midsole on the bottom. And then you can actually see on the lateral side of the shoe where that carbon plate is sticking out. Of course, this shoe has a full-length carbon plate. There are lots of cutouts on the bottom, including a big one on the lateral side. And the shoe is ultra stiff, and if you haven't been able to tell already, this shoe has a very aggressive rocker. So it's not quite on the same level as the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. The rocker on this shoe is just out of this world, but it is very significant in the Cielo X1, and it feels fantastic out on the roads. My workout today was mostly done at half marathon effort, and I think kind of between that half marathon and marathon type pace, this shoe is going to feel fantastic. So as of right now, 2024, there are so many nice race day shoes out on the market, and one thing I will mention is you could just flip a coin and pick one and you will probably be happy. But one thing I will mention is a lot of them depend upon the type of foot strike that you have. And for me, I'm definitely more of a midfoot to rear foot type foot strike. And for whatever reason, this shoe in particular works really, really nice with my foot strike. And yeah, this one is definitely in the running for my upcoming marathon I have in about 7 weeks. And then on the outsole, you're getting a ton of rubber coverage. Seems to grip just fine on wet pavement. And another thing I'll mention is the road that I did my workout on today tends to have a bit of a camber to it. And sometimes in the past, depending on which shoe I use, especially the Nike Vaporfly, it's caused issues. The lack of support in the shoe when I was running on that cambered section of the road. And while this is certainly a neutral shoe and it doesn't have a ton of support as far as a race day shoe goes, I felt like it was providing me decent support, and the camber today I had no issue with whatsoever. And finally, price of the shoe here in Canada retails for $310, and in the US it's $275. And yes, that is very steep. And honestly, I didn't think that the shoe, in my opinion, was going to be any better than the Rocket X2. This was my racing shoe of the year in 2023. I think it's fantastic and can handle anything from 5K all the way up to the marathon. And I would probably still use the Rocket X2 for anything shorter than half marathon. but more testing to do obviously, but I really like how this shoe feels at that half to full marathon pace. So stay tuned. In a few months, hopefully I'll have at least 100 miles on the shoe and I can leave you my full review. Might even include a marathon race result. And if you have any questions about the Cielo X1, leave your comments down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And like always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.